Approved.
Next item, please.
Item number 4 is a citation submitted by City Councilors McLaughlin, Rossetti, Umba, White Jr., Scott, Ewan-Campen, Klingon, Niedergang, Davis, and Ballantyne, commending City Councilor Stephanie Hirsch for her exemplary service to the city in response to her resignation from the City Council.
Well, this day had to come. Sorry to have to see Councilor Hirsch go, but I would like to give Councilor Hirsch a moment to speak. And then if other people would like to speak as well, please let me know in the chat box.
Thank you so much for giving me this chance to share my appreciation for all of you and the people who have been part of my life over these last 15 going on 16 years working for Somerville. I've had a chance to thank the community in general, but I wanted to thank my colleagues tonight. It's hard to sum up all the years. I'd actually like to go on for several hours, but I'm sure you're happy to know I won't. So I'll just try to keep it short and say, first of all, I'm grateful for the city staff. And I've been feeling nostalgic lately with the transition and thinking about back to 2004 when I started. And I've been thinking about the department heads who started with me around that time when it was still a new administration. And that list includes the always kind and incredibly helpful Nick Salerno, the world's truly best city clerk who is on this call right now, John Long, the finance director who guided us through the recession of 2008 and who will take us into this spring's troubled budget season, Ed Bean, the Council on Aging director whose energy and commitment has only grown over the years, Cindy Hickey, and the Arts Council team that uses ingenuity to fight to protect the city's unique character, Greg Jenkins and Rachel Strutt. And there's so many more people who have been here for the long haul and from day one and are still here today. People like Eileen Costa, who makes everyone feel welcome, David Shapiro, Donna Joy, Steve Quinn, Joe Santos, Joan Shute, Vital, Ed De Silva, Nancy Lynch, Renee Mello, Carol Haley. I could go on and on. I can think of all of those names and faces and what I remember them for in ways that they made my life better. From offices all across the city. There are people who show up, treat coworkers with kindness, and make our city better. And over the years, more people joined in the staff, adding their passion, skills, and personality to the mix. Others have moved on, and Somerville has been sort of a learning ground, and some of the projects we've worked in have been seeded all across the country as people have moved on. And still others have passed away, like Dick Brescia, Brian Spingle, Stan Cody, Fred Lund, Maureen James, Tom Taylor. So thinking back, the city looks a little bit different each year, and it looks different in 2020 than it did in 2004. And I look around and we all look a little bit older. Though that said, I don't think Nick Salerno ever ages. So he looks exactly the same. But it's really been a joy to be on this journey with everybody. My years in Somerville have been really big transition years in terms of both my personal and my professional life. And I always have felt that my colleagues and friends at City Hall have cheered me on. And there's just a story I want to tell about how one of my colleagues cheered me on, even literally. And this goes back about 10 or more years. And at that time, I had 2 little children at home, my oldest kids, and they were in a daycare center in Medford. And our crazy household commute was that my husband would pick them up in Medford, and then he'd drive up School Street and pick me up on School Street at exactly 4:30. And so because this was a stressful period of my life where I was really trying to juggle the working full time and being home with my kids, at like 4:29, right when 4:30 struck, I would run down from the 3rd floor where my office was as fast as I could, and to be out on the street when they would pull up. And every day that I would do that, it just so happened that David Keating would be working on the stairs there and standing there. And as I would pass him by, he would smile at me and wish me, well wishes. And it was just this kind of a constant presence and kindness over the years. And I really appreciated it then. And in fact, it's been fun as a city councilor to know that when we go to meetings that sometimes go till 1 in the morning, once again, it's Dave Keating who wishes us good nights, safe getting home, and that kind of just regular support, it means a lot. So Next, I wanted to say that I'm grateful for our mayor, Mayor Joe. We all know he has unmatched energy, curiosity, and determination, and he's created and recreated a workplace community where we have mostly had fun tackling the big issues. But for me personally, I also have appreciated how he enabled me to continue to learn by taking on new roles that helped me balance the kind of work and home responsibilities. He's been my supervisor for many years. He was my supervisor for about 10 years. And I got, because I had those chances to kind of evolve in my profession, I got to help my family, I got to be involved in my community, and I got to play meaningful roles at work over the years. And it's surprisingly hard to find a place where you can do that and find a balance. And finally, of course, I'm grateful to all my city council colleagues. I've learned so much from you all and had fun doing it. I'm grateful for Matt, who has keen intelligence, big heart, humor, and ability to speak the truth. For JT and his intellect and exceptional persistence. Ben and his positive, level-headed, and evidence-based approach to problem solving. Jesse and his kindness, his long view, and his ability to turn empathy into action. Mark for his impeccable follow-up and research and honesty. And when I used to sit by Mark, I could see when he came with a handwritten page of notes, I'd be very curious to know what wisdom he was going to impart in his comments. I'm grateful for Lance and his positive personality, his search for creative solutions to intractable problems, especially using the tools of law. For Katiana and her determination, energy, and willingness to take on the hard positions. Will and his passion, personality, resilience, and commitment to fight for equity. Mary Jo and her incredible due diligence, organization, willingness to ask the hard questions, and her efforts to make the council life fun. I'm grateful for Bill and his honesty, wisdom, wit, and encyclopedic knowledge of all things Somerville. Thank you also to our clerks, Rose, Peter, and Kim. I'm really glad that we could disagree and state our cases, but still not undermine a kind of fundamental level of trust amongst us or basic kindness. I think that has served us well. So again, I'm grateful that for all of you, I'm really glad that all of you capable people, the elected officials, the staff, and your skills will be continuing on. Somerville is going to need everybody's skills. There's forces far beyond our community, market forces, environmental change that bear down on Somerville. They're creating displacement, flooding, rat invasions, and many more challenges, big and small. And those were the problems that we had before the pandemic. That's when we were just worried about simple matters like opening new transit stations and opening a new high school on time. I'm sorry that I won't be working here with you on these challenges, and I want to welcome Kristen Strezzo and wish her ease of transition and the power to make a big impact. And to wrap up, I've been reflecting on a concept called loose ties. The idea is that when people have connections, not just within a group, but across groups, it helps everyone. And Somerville's urban community has an abundance of both strong and loose ties. We have ties both within and across neighborhoods, school communities, workplaces, churches, and more. And those ties cross lines of culture, age, and background. As you step out of your house, you're likely to form a new tie. The many acquaintances across Somerville generally bring people joy. And they are also the seeds that can grow into friendships or mutual support or even collective action when we need it. And just as an example, there's one person who lives near me, and I was living in that place for 14 years. So over a period of about 6 years, I greeted her every time she passed my house. And then finally one year I learned her son's name through the Argenziano school. And another year I ran into her at her workplace. So I finally learned where she worked. And then still another year I learned her dog's name. It's Scruffy. And finally I learned her name and her story, and she turned from an acquaintance into a friend. And that's how those loose ties can eventually become strong ties. And in regular non-pandemic times, our dense network of connections, both loose and strong, is an incredible network of strength. There's a contagion of joy, of distraction, of learning. Whatever mood I'm in when I'm home, if I head outside, it's going to change because as I interact with the world. And I'm hopeful for Somerville, community ties will continue to be our strength. I hope we'll use the best possible thinking to solve problems. I hope we will make decisions with big hearts and empathy and get stuff done with a dogged work ethic. And you are all the right people to take on this challenge, to show up, to do what needs doing, and to stay until the work is done. And I myself, I'll be cheering you on from afar. I will be sending you wishes for resilience. I hope and expect that you will not just enable Somerville to survive, but will work as hard as you can to change the rules of local governance, making Somerville a model and a testing ground in a world that needs hope. So thank you again to everyone. Much love to you and very good luck in the months ahead.
All right, we got a lot of people who'd like to speak. So I'm going to start with Councilor Ewan Campen, Councilor Rossetti, and Councilor Bob.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Through you, there's a lot I miss about in-person meetings, but I really wish that we could do this in person. So I want to say, just how much I've appreciated Councilor Hirsch's total and absolute commitment to public service and to this community. I first met Stephanie on the campaign trail. I have this one memory specifically of running into each other on Monroe Street.
Yeah.
When we were both out knocking doors, and I remember thinking how much effort it was to knock one ward, and it seemed to me that you were not like doing that same amount of effort across the city. You were just multiplying my amount of effort by 7. And you are someone who goes above and beyond to give back to the city. Someone who I think of you as someone who always goes out of your way to bring people into the process, to think about people who are not usually part of this decision making, to seek out opinions that are different from yours. And I've heard you say it a million times, to look for compromise. And I always think about compromise as one of your calling cards, and I can think a lot of examples of that. But then there are times when there's no compromise. And I love those too. When there is an issue that is one of your core values, sorry, through the chair, one of your core values, there is nothing that can move Councilor Hirsch, and that is something that I really respect. And I think these are just two sides of the many sides of Councilor Hirsch that I will miss. And so, to be brief, I just want to thank you for everything you've done for Somerville. I think as much as I am sorry to see you go, I think it's really wonderful that you followed your heart to be close to your family in Wisconsin. And I hope and expect that you will be back and we'll be able to work together at some point in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben.
We have Councilor Rossetti, Baugh, and Davis.
Mr. President, thank you. Through you to my friend Stephanie. I don't have the words that I really know what to say, Steph. You are unique. You're somebody who I am so grateful that became a part of my life and a part of all our lives. If the city watched every meeting, they understand your passion as it relates to making it affordable for everybody. And you never, ever let go of that. This is not a goodbye. I know that you and I had very serious discussions last year and over the winter with taking care of parents and taking care of wanting to be with family and wanting to be the be all, and you are the be all. You're fantastic. The one thing that makes me laugh is the fact that on your first year running for office, you offered to hold a sign for me at the polling station when one of my volunteers was going to be late. And on the second year running this past fall, you still had my sign in your cellar, where it was helping me deliver signs for me, who was running. We were running against each other. You are one special human being, Stephanie. I'm so grateful for so many reasons to have been able to work alongside you and to watch you and to learn from you. And I do have one request. Can you leave me the template for your newsletter? Love you, girl. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Baugh, Davis, and Edegang.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Councilor Hirsch. I want to say that you're one of the kindest human beings I ever met. And I remember, you probably have forgotten, like I met you, like even before I was even thinking about running for office, like at the Somerville Chamber of Commerce or some event. And I told you I was looking for an apartment and somehow you asked for my email. I gave you my contact. I think we never knew each other, and then you connected me to someone, you know, that finally, you know, I think the only thing was probably the apartment wasn't deleted or something. But like, I mean, I was shocked, like, to see like follow up, you know, like from somebody that I just met just at a random place. Just your ability to build community is unmatched. And for that, I say thank you, you know. And I don't know what we're gonna do with our mobile office hours, Stephanie. Like, I don't understand. Like, why are you doing this to me? You know, it's no, I mean, like, seriously, I'm really grateful, you know, like, to know you and to be able to like see how kind human beings should be. Like, even when sometimes I will talk to you about like the kids, you will be like, the first thing that will come out of your mouth is bring the kids over. You know, like, you know, it's like it's I live my brain is like spinning. Like, what kind of human being is this? Like, it's just, so this is just to say, like, may God bless you and your future and your family and take you there safely, and may you continue to thrive in all your endeavors. Thank you, Stephanie.
Councilor Davis, Gang, and Ballantyne.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Hirsch, thank you so much for your time here. You know, I just completely agree with what everyone has said, and what I'm sure all of my colleagues to come after me will say. It's hard to really put your hands around what it is you bring, and you bring something so special and unique. I've often said when people ask about the council, you know, what it's like and how we all get along, and, you know, obviously we all get along great, which, as you pointed out, is really one of the wonderful things. Even when we disagree, there's always been that mutual respect. You know, but we all have different strengths, and there's nobody that brings anything close to what you bring. And so I hope that we can, you know, find a way to be inspired by the way you look at things, and the type of sort of, you know, approach that with which you review and consider different issues. It's so special, and it always, even when it was out of order and not, it like always made us think. It made me think, you know, it's just a completely different perspective, and it always added to the conversation. You know, you and I first really got to know each other back when I was working with Progress Together for Somerville. I don't know if you remember that. Back, this is the very first Progress Together for Somerville back in 2012, maybe somewhere around there. You were still working in the city, and I realized at that point what an unbelievable resource you are, and what an incredible knack you have for just grasping so many different pieces of a situation, and the data sets and the way that they can be applied. It's just so clear that your brain works differently than so many of ours. It was such a valuable asset. And I remember when I bumped into you at the Mass Alliance candidate training, I thought, oh, okay. All right, this is good. This is really good. I like this. And sure enough, it was only a few years later that there you were barnstorming across the city, knocking on, I don't know, every door 15, 20 times. What was your final count? You must have the data somewhere, I'm sure. So, you know, I won't go on too long, because I know that others want to speak as well. And we all could go on forever about how much you bring to the council. But just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for your time. And as much as I will miss all of that and all of the different approach you bring, of course, it goes without saying that what I will miss most is having someone who shares my birthday on the council. I'm going to have to organize my birthday parties myself now. I don't know how that's going to work, because people probably won't be as willing to go along with me as they were with you. So maybe you can send an email my way to help out or something. But I'll hold the happy birthdays for a couple months and stick with them. Thank you, farewell, good luck, and whether it's back here in Somerville Sunday or in Eau Claire or wherever else, I know there's no question in my mind that you will be involved in running some organization, probably a city government, and making it all the better because of your input. Thank you.
Councilors Gang, Ballantyne, and Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it says so much about Stephanie that in her farewell speech, which was one of the best speeches I've ever heard, She didn't talk about her accomplishments, but she talked about other people's contributions and the challenges that we face in the community and the city. That is Stephanie Hirsch to me. Stephanie, I will really miss working with you on traffic safety and especially pedestrian safety issues. You created really the now flourishing Pedestrian Transit Advisory Committee by spearheading and organizing the PED in the Shed meetings that we held for a year. I'd moved that critical, life-saving issue forward so much. The focus that you put on family issues have been really important for our city. And Stephanie is a rare combination. She's done so many different things in the city, in the administration, on the council, but she's a rare combination of a hard-headed data geek, and I say that with admirable respect, and a soft-hearted people person who cares deeply about all kinds of different people and works to help them. I'm really sorry to lose you, but I know you'll make a big difference in Wisconsin, and God help them and God help our country. They need you there, Wisconsin being a critical swing state in the 2020 presidential election. So best of all to you there, and I know we'll be hearing about the waves that you're making. Thank you.
Councilors Valentine, Scott, and Klingon.
Hey, Stephanie, thank you. It's really been wonderful getting to know you. I'm going to sincerely miss you on the board. One of 3 women, I have to say that. I'm really going to miss you. I appreciate your kindness, your passion, your commitment, and you're a collaborator. And collaborating on all the big issues, but even the small issues, the heart pieces, to make sure that you reach out to all your colleagues to even know that someone has passed in their ward. You make sure that your colleagues have a chance to speak about what's happening in their ward. As Councillor Niedergang said, I was touched by the fact that I heard you speak about everything that's going on in the city and talking graciously about us and not so much about yourself, because you are always focused on the work. Thank you for letting me vet with you during some very frustrating times. You show so much heart. You are the queen cheerleader of block parties and the great queen of the urban campout, which I've enjoyed, and that community build of people being able to camp out. I remember when the idea first came, you weren't an elected official. I was like, oh my gosh, that is just amazing. Someone was able to, get the park so, the kids and their families could camp out there. You've touched us all. Much love to you and your family, and I wish you all the best.
Councilors Scott, Klingon, and White.
There we go. Thank you, Mr. President. I can keep it fairly brief, but aside from all the other absolute merits and incredible qualities that you brought to your service to the city, long service to the city, and a variety of different capacities, I would say the thing that that I think is the strongest testament is how many people in this city, where they've got 11 of us they can reach out to, will reach out to you because they feel safe, because they feel recognized, because they feel seen, because they feel heard. And I think that's a testament to the work that you've done to build trust, to forge those connections. And really, I think that's, if there's a thing that I aspire to emulate, it is that, right? I mean, we share a passion for data and for knowing the situation and trying to get it right. But it's that compassion, that connection that I think is so incredibly vital. It's something I've always yearned for in my life, and it's something that I think that you have always put front and center, and people can tell that. So I have no doubt that you'll have success in whatever your next endeavor is. But I just want to thank you for bringing that and for being that person that people can reach out to on the City Council in a very special way. So thank you very much.
Councilor Klingon and Councilor White.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Councilor Hirsch. Stephanie, I want to thank you for your many years of service to this community. I echo many of the sentiments of our colleagues, especially Councilor Scott's last comment about people feeling comfortable to reach out to you. That's been extremely apparent to me since I've been on the council. Just how many people feel comfortable in reaching directly out to you says a lot about the way you make people feel, including myself. You've always made me feel valued and me feel heard, because I haven't always felt that way. And you're somebody who, you know, in a room full of people, you'll figure out a way to make everybody feel welcomed and part of the community. And I know that's how I met you many years, at least 8 years ago at the urban campout. I brought Allie, and I met you there, and I was like, this woman's just like positive force of community building. I'm like, and I didn't know you at the time. I'm like, and essentially you treated, you know, Lincoln Genziano like it was your backyard, and you made everybody feel welcome, and you like, you know, if you need anything, and, you know, you opened your doors to your house, and I'm just like, who is this woman? And as I got to know you, then I would see you everywhere and everything. We just kind of got to know each other through community events. This is all long before I ever considered getting into politics, running for office. But you definitely have a huge heart. And I just, you know, you're going to be so missed. I'm so glad that I came on to the council with you. It's really made, I think you've been the glue in a lot of ways. You've been, like Councilor you and Campen said, you've come up with some great compromises. You were huge in the on the transfer fee, and you know, I can't say enough good things about you. And I will say this: I do worry about whatever town you're in Wisconsin. That they better have their act together, because I picture, you know, for many years I've pictured you the last couple of years in your shed in the backyard, in your woman's shed, like with like a Beautiful Mind type of thing, with like all like thumbtacks and string. Like, how can we get the library to give out parking passes at the same? Like, how do you go into one city location and get all of your needs met? And I think that's going to happen wherever you live in Wisconsin, and I think it will happen here someday too. And we'll all be thinking of you when I walk into the library to get my parking pass. So thank you so much.
Councilor White, and then Councilor Barr has closing thoughts.
I have to keep remembering to unmute my phone symbol here. I'm the only councilor, then alderman, who was, you know, on the board, city council, when Stephanie first began service in the city. So it's been 16 years. And first, I want to thank her for all of that service, because, you know, she filled a lot of different roles, but she did it quite well. Now, during some of those roles, during the budget process, perhaps I came across a little bit too strong or with a strong personality. And once Stephanie got elected, I said, geez, I wonder what's going to happen, hopefully. But she really demonstrated, you know, her personality. We were able to get along, didn't hold any grudges or anything. And, you know, I consider her a friend now, and I'm glad that, you know, I can say that. And I've also seen sort of two sides. One, during those budget hearings, you know, Stephanie was pretty much, you know, I hate to say it, but cut and dry in a lot of the figures and things, but on some of the issues she would show, you know, her interest in it and some compassion. But now, seeing Stephanie as a city councilor, I mean, really the true zeal, compassion, and that compassion and zeal is directed,
a lot of unfortunate folks, who may be disenfranchised in our community, also promoting families, but also trying to build a sense of community through things like, the block parties. At first, when I saw that in the agenda, I said, what the heck is that? But again, it's part of a goal to make Somerville a real community, and that's just not a collection of people living in houses, but it's making connections, as Stephanie has said. So in a professional sense, I want to thank her for all of her service to the city, which all of my colleagues have described, and her personality. Again, the fact that I can consider her a friend after these 16 years together in city government.
Councilor Barr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Steph, it's me again. I just want to say, thank you for your work on the transfer fee, and that you will continue to be a part of our community. So don't think that when you move into Wisconsin, some of it's out of the window. So continue to weigh in as you see fit. Thank you.
So just to say, I'm sorry.
I get to speak.
Oh, sorry.
Actually, Councilor Barr did a great segue for me. Everyone else made great points, so I'll try not to go on too much. But I think I first became familiar with Stephanie during the 2017 election season. I'm sure we saw each other before that, but that's when she was really on my radar. And during that election cycle, I remember some people being critical of myself and other people running for office, saying, why are you focusing exclusively on affordable housing? There's other issues. Why are we focusing so much on affordable housing? And it was very refreshing to have Councilor Hirsch sit around the horseshoe and say, why are we focusing on anything but affordable housing? And why are we not doing even more than we're already doing? And that was very refreshing, and it was very good to have that voice there. Not only just in general, but as Councilor Bob mentioned, during the transfer fee fight, where you made amendments that accommodated a lot of people, but we also didn't back down either. And I really feel like that was a turning point for this council and the city. Whereas before, if we faced that much backlash and criticism, we might have folded. And we said, no, we're pushing forward on our values and our belief system. And we're all still here. Unfortunately, you won't be here after today. But your fight will carry on through all of us, and we're not going to back down, and we're going to put the priorities of the people in most need first. So your spirit is going to live on here, and in Somerville, we do not say goodbye. In Somerville, we say see you later, and I'm sure I will see you later, and I will let you have the last word.
So yeah, just to say thank you all for those incredibly kind words. I hope I live up to those attributes in whatever comes next, as well as my day-to-day life. And yeah, please do reach out to me at any point if you want to have an outsider's perspective and just vent or rant or think something through. I hope to be working in local government in Wisconsin, which has overlapping issues, though some different ones like agriculture, for example, but there's still big decisions about affordability and land use, of course, finance. So yeah, just once again, thank you. And to be all of our stories to be continued, and we'll see what's next. And of course, I leave it to Councilor Rossetti to make me cry. That's fitting. But all of your words were just so kind. Thank you.
All right, everyone. So this order does not require a vote.